Hi, and thanks for joining me. This is the third and last part of the ramble I filmed earlier this year before my accident. It's probably going to be the last motorcycle ramble for quite a while now, till I eventually get the frame removed from my leg and can get back on a bike again and shoot some new video. I will keep posting the updates on my progress though. I'm out on Goldie the BSA Goldstar 650, and we travelled up the east side of the River Trent to the Humber Estuary, then across towards the east. We left off as we were leaving the town of Barton upon Humber, so that's where we'll pick it up again. We're passing through Barrow upon Humber next. Another old village and the site of an Anglo-Saxon monastery that was built in the 7th century on land given to a monk by the then King Wulfhere. After his death, by which time he'd risen to bishop status, the monk became known as St. Chad. The site was thoroughly excavated and recorded, but it's all been built over now. The street here on the left is by the side of the monastery site, and it's been named St. Chad in his honour. The two buildings side by side on the corner of St. Chad are the old priory on the left and Banner House on the right. They date from 1800 and they're Grade 2 listed. During the Second World War, the village was hit by bombs and a number of people were killed. Several unexploded bombs were also recovered. It's got no strategic importance, so it's thought that it may have been a German bomber dumping its bombs on a failed raid on Hull just across the Humber Estuary. We're going straight across at the crossroads. It's the B1206 we're crossing, and if we were to turn left it would take us up to New Holland, which was the southern landing of the Humber ferry before the bridge got there. As I'd said in the last video, I made this ferry crossing back in the 1970s on the paddle steamer. This is Thornton Abbey we're just arriving at, and in front of us is England's largest and most impressive surviving monastic gatehouse, and it's Grade 1 listed. It was originally founded as a priory in 1139 by William le Gros, the Earl of Yorkshire, but it was raised to the status of an abbey in 1148 by Pope Eugene III. It was run by Augustinian monks, and by the 13th century it was the richest Augustinian monastery in Britain, and quite extensive. Unlike many, it survived Henry VIII's dissolution of the monasteries in the 1500s, and instead of having it demolished like most of the others, he actually turned it into a school for training priests for his new Church of England. In the 1600s it came into the ownership of Vincent Skinner, who was a staunch Puritan. Now he demolished most of the abbey, leaving only the gatehouse, and built himself an impressive new house. This new house didn't last long though, and it's thought that either the house stood for only 4 or 5 years and it was deliberately dismantled to pay off Skinner's huge debts, or that it was never actually completed. He died in debtor's prison in 1616. In 2013, an excavation in the Abbey's old cemetery unearthed a pit containing the remains of 48 people. DNA testing showed that they'd died from the plague. This was the first time a Black Death mass grave had been found in a rural rather than an urban site. Today it's looked after by English Heritage and it's currently closed to the public due to conservation work. We're turning right here to head down towards Ulsby. We're heading south now, and just in the fields to my left is what was RAF North Killingholme. This was a World War II airfield that opened in 1943, though the first squadron didn't arrive till early the following year. It operated under Bomber Command, and number 550 Squadron flew their Lancaster bombers from here. They became one of the most successful bomber squadrons during the war and flew 192 bombing raids. On D-Day, one of their Lancasters, called Bad Penny 3, was the first plane to drop its load at the start of the Normandy Beaches assault. Sadly, they'd lost over 60 planes and their crews by the end of the war. Most of the runways and some of the old hangars and buildings are still there, but now used for storage and industrial purposes. There's a memorial to the squadron and those sadly lost on the approach road to the airfield. You may notice that the sat-nav's appeared on the handlebars now. As I said at the beginning of this run, some of this is new territory to me, so I need directions on this bit. It's a TomTom Rider 550, and to be honest, I don't use it very often. It works okay, but I do find it a bit awkward sometimes to put a route in. Anyway, hopefully it'll get me through these unfamiliar back lanes. This is the tiny hamlet of Ulsby Skitter, and we turn right here onto the A1077 into the village of Ulsby. At Ulsby, we're turning left to take the B1211 that keeps us heading south. The bridge takes us over the A180 that runs from Doncaster to Grimsby. We're going to be joining it later, where it becomes the M180. We're going over the old Great Central Railway line here, and the station building down on the left's Brocklesby Station. It was built in the 1840s for the Manchester, Sheffield and Lincolnshire Railway Company, and it actually had a private waiting room for Lord Yarborough, who lived just down the road at Brocklesby Hall. It closed in 1993 and it's privately owned now. The station building and the signal box close to it are both Grade 2 listed buildings. The impressive building coming up's Newsham Lodge. It's the old gatehouse for Brocklesby Park estate. It was built in the early 19th century and it's Grade 2 listed. We're turning right onto the B1210 now to go down through the Brocklesby Park estate. Now, the journey from here on I've actually covered in some earlier rambles, so I'll just give basic details and I'll put links to the videos at the end. You might want to watch them and get a bit more information on the area. Just on the left's the entrance to Brocklesby Hall. This is a Grade 1 listed building, and lots of the original stables and outbuildings still exist. The estate probably dates from the 16th century, but the house was remodelled in the early 18th century. It was built for the Pelham family, who held the titles Baron, Lord and Earl of Yarborough. And it's passed down through the family right up to the current 8th Earl of Yarborough, Charles Pelham. The estate covers an impressive 27,000 acres and it's a beautiful place. Parts of it were laid out by Capability Brown in the 1770s for the first Baron Yarborough. This is a great little ride through the estate. But those black clouds up ahead don't bode well. This is the main entrance gate at the other end of the estate. It dates from 1868 and it's all Grade 2 listed. There's a gate lodge on either side of the road, and the impressive structure in the centre's the Memorial Arch, which was built to honour the 2nd Earl of Yarborough. This is the A18 we're joining now. Humberside Airport on the left here. The traffic lights here are to stop traffic when the larger planes are landing and taking off, plus the runway comes right up to the road. I've been stopped here on a couple of occasions and it's great watching the planes pass low over the main road. This is a commercial airport now, but like many, it started life during the Second World War as RAF Kirmington. It opened in 1942 under bomber command and was home for several squadrons flying Lancaster and Wellington bombers. There's a memorial in the nearby village of Kirmington. Melton Ross now. The name's thought to come from Middletone, which means middle farmstead, and Ross refers to the de Ross family who owned all the land which is now the village. That's Barney's Diner on the left. It's a good cafe that's been here a long time. If you're ever in the area, call in. Well, I'm taking the fast way back home to see if I can beat the rain that those black clouds are threatening. So we're off along the M180. Didn't quite make it, but the rain's not too heavy and it's been a great run out with plenty to see. Anyway, I'm going to wrap up here, so hope you found this rather long 3-part ramble interesting. If you haven't already watched them, or if you're new here, check them out on the channel content. Please leave a like, if in fact you did, and a comment. I always try to answer them. And don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more of my ramblings, and hit the notification button. Hope to catch you on the next one. So, cheers for now.